They won me a meaningless amount of money as a 10-year-old. I'm sure my dad was like, thank you.
Yeah. It didn't go into your 529, Mike. This is what we call a stupid rule. And this is why people hate golf.
Guys they want to break up with. And I know, Kyle, we're not even going to talk about that name.
It wouldn't be wise to do that.
Yeah, right. Hey everyone, welcome to Reading the Green and our golf DFS preview show. My name is Mike. I have Kyle and Jordan here on Tuesday, March 15th. Got a lot of good stuff in store for this episode. But first, Reading the Green is a unique fantasy golf resource that combines great player picks with insights on which fantasy experts actually give the best advice. The result is a bias-free approach that ensures you're not swayed by any one or two experts you turn into each week. With us, you always know where the consensus is in that expert community. If you like this approach, or more importantly, you have fun listening to us every week, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Reading the Green. This is the #1 way to show your support. Of course, you can find our podcasts on any of the major podcast platforms. Find us on Twitter at RTG Podcast DFS. We have a listener league. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show tonight. And we play DraftKings every week with our listeners. But today we got our Players Championship recap. We have a preview for the Valspar Championship and lots of other good stuff. It's the third week of March, and so that means we have brackets. And instead of talking about brackets for college basketball, I do want to talk a little bit about March Madness just to get things started. Guys, you have give me a good story about March Madness pools, just kind of other nuggets you got around college basketball gambling.
So before we started recording tonight, we actually finished our own little draft. It is based on one I used to do in college, and I think we're on what?
This is like the 6th year I've run it, like organized it.
Yeah, and you took over when I had a newborn one year, so I think we're on year 10, maybe as a group. So it's kind of fun. It's a snake fantasy style draft. Each of us end up with 8 teams, and you get a different dollar value for each game they win, essentially.
When the first year we did it, we were all in person.
Yeah.
Right? And now this year we did it. There's North Carolina, Iowa, Singapore, like
Denver.
It's a different world that we live in right now.
All that, and then 3 of us in one room.
Yes.
Well, I really like this format, this 8-team format. 8 guys, 8 teams. It just gives you a rooting interest, right? Obviously, if you got your team in the tournament this year, that's one thing. But this just gives you 8 teams to go and cheer for. Half of them are probably going to lose in the first round, but
yeah, if you get 5 through, then it's fine.
I got Norfolk State.
So in college, we used to do 2 iterations. We did the straight up one, and then we did another fun Shark League, which was a fun little twist as well. So you started with the same 8 teams, but if your team covered the spread, you took over the team they covered against.
Sure.
So that got real fun if you had a 16 or 15, cover a spread against a 1 or a 2, and then you took the one. Yeah. You have the 1 in the next round. So that's fun. So I enjoy doing this. Glad we still keep it going, and can't beat those college days of doing this as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jordan, you got a fun March Madness?
Well, I like
tradition?
these brackets. Who the F knows? It's
exactly.
It's total luck. Like, I filled one out for work today. I clicked randomized on like the weighted of who wins, what seed wins. I don't know who Gonzaga versus Arizona. No idea. But that's why I like these ridiculous, weird ones that we're doing. And I do one with some old coworkers where there's no entry fee, but the bottom 75% have to buy a fancy steak dinner for the top 25%. So we all get together after it's over, and it is free reign. You order whatever you want to get, lobster, you want to get whatever you want. It is all drinks, everything included.
It's not brackets though. You
pick your 4 teams, and there's no like I can pick 4. You can pick the exact same 4 teams. Yep. But you want teams that other people don't have, so then you get more points.
Sure.
And you get more points if a 16 seeds wins the first round, you get more points than a 1 seed. So right, it's like what are the lower seeds that are gonna win? I still have no idea, and randomly pick teams, but it's a fun thing, and then you all get together after, right? And get really intoxicated and have a great time.
That's intriguing, and again, just a reason to get together.
Yes.
Kind of like our pod, right?
Yeah. Well, I like the non-bracket March Madness pools because I just remember obsessing over brackets. Like I got 10 brackets and I'm gonna do boy did that get old, and so I like all the creativity. I wanted to go back to a story of this is kind of the earliest I can remember about March Madness, but I was probably this is late 90s, and I was probably 10 years old or so, and my dad ran a pool with his office, which now that I think about it was kind of like a first iteration of daily fantasy, where you picked teams by round, and so he would hand out a sheet of paper to everybody in the office, and you'd make your round of 64 picks, and then you'd make your round of 32 picks, and so on. And so you just got to start over. And I remember as a 10-year-old, I won in 97 going against the grain because the squad I picked to win the whole thing, was going against Duke.
Arizona Mike Bibby.
Yeah. That was my squad that year. I think I was a solid Arizona college basketball fan for like 5 or 6 years after that. They won me a meaningless amount of money as a 10-year-old. I'm sure my dad was like, "Thank you."
Yeah. It didn't go into your 529, Mike.
No, so yeah, lots of creativity around this time of year with the various pools, but I'm excited about our 8-team league. Virginia did not make the tournament this year, so I'm excited that I got 8 teams to cheer for. So,
and now instead of obsessing about a bracket,
I know
we can also just obsess about our lineups at Valspar this weekend.
We can, but this is what we tweeted out this week after the players wrapped up, and we can kind of transition to the players recap. Sometimes you just gotta put your lineups aside and just take in an excellent tournament. Like watching what Cam Smith was doing. I had no shares of Cam Smith this week. And watching what he was doing on Sunday, making 10 birdies in a final round, and every putt he rolled in was center cut. Like it's a thing of beauty, and you feel for a guy like Lahiri, who's been this journeyman 7 years on tour, and kind of pulling for him for that life-changing moment. But at the same time, like Cam is doing this, and he's solidifying himself as a top 6 player in the world for every, certainly has every right to that claim. And I don't know, I just for a few hours I just tried to like not think about DraftKings and just think about like this is a pretty sweet golf tournament right now.
Yeah, and especially with Cam, it was refreshing to see how aggressive he was towards the end. The hard part was, it was on a Monday, so probably didn't catch as much of it as I would have if it was on a Sunday. But he no holds bar 17. I don't think he meant to go between the flag and the water.
That.
But hey, right at it. And then 18 pulls out the driver, and then still gets aggressive even when he's in the crap and ends up in the water. So it was an entertaining finish and an eventful weekend.
Did you guys see Lahiri's quote from earlier in the week?
That was awesome. Yeah,
right. I pulled it up so we could read it because I thought it was great.
I was trying to find it as well. That's funny.
We're both tapping away here. So earlier in the week, he goes, "You're 1 week away from being at Augusta. You're 1 week away from having a 2 or 3 year exemption. You're 1 week away from having a very different conversation with me." Right, and then he ends up getting second. Right? If he gets first, it's like literally life changing. If it's second, it's a ton of money. So that's not life changing.
I was
still
having that
2 point some million.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
I was having that that sort of internal debate of like who did that who would a win have meant more to, like career wise? Does it mean more to Lahiri's career, or does it mean more to Cam Smith's career? And I think the answer is like Lahiri, he would have been exempt multiple years on tour, every major for 3 years.
Pop quiz. What's his world ranking before this week?
Like 321 or something.
You saw the tweet.
Is that the exact number?
322.
Oh, that would have been amazing. It's just
right. Yeah. Like you can't. Smith is top 10.
He was going to be in these he was going to be there anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's 322nd. Obviously, he jumped a long way up that list with a second place here.
So the question, like that his answer, was too there was, you've been struggling lately. What's your mindset? How you staying positive? And that answer was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like to have that state of mind, like, yeah, things have been going wrong for me, but PGA Tour, you can go out and you're on tour, you can go out and win one week and it's going to change everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so you felt, you certainly feel for a guy like that. We've had a couple of those, I think with Sahith Theegala at Waste Management, where you're just like kind of pulling for this guy he's a little younger and certainly has a ton of talent. But anyways, it was a really cool Monday finish. I think I checked out for like a couple hours and I had some calls and I was not tuned in. I came back and I was like, Cam Smith is winning this tournament. What's going on? Like, he buried the first 4 holes. Really, really impressive.
He was up and down. He was way out in the lead, came way back, and then I went away for a half hour, and I come back, and he's at my 12 or 13 under again. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah. He only, parred 2 holes?
He had 4 pars the whole day. 10 birdies, 4 pars.
Sounds like my rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, that's actually that's what I think someone...
Turn those into doubles.
Yeah.
Well, right.
4 pars, 8 bogeys.
Yeah, if you would have said
6 double bogeys.
If you would have said Cam Smith had 4 pars in the final round, you would have thought he would have hit all his tee shots like he did on 16, and he would have shot 75. But I think a couple of things. First of all, just on did we miss the 5 Cameron prop bet? We missed an opportunity we had the 4 Cameron prop bet. But
that's a great point.
We didn't get the 5 Cameron prop bet. Because I think we had Tringali, Young, Smith, who are the other Camerons? Cam Davis and Cam Champ. So
we need to try an all Cam lineup some week.
Well, we're getting pretty close.
Is there a 6-1 that can get a sponsor?
We're getting pretty close.
I'm pretty sure Anirban in Hindi is Cameron. In English.
That would have been a good... If I would have had a Cam Smith, Anirban Lahiri lineup, that would have been pretty good.
Should have done it. We would have won.
Let's talk a little bit about, Kyle, I know you had thoughts on the draw, the AM/PM draw, the strategy, specifically with the Players' Championship here.
Well, first off, if you used a new strategy this week or you were trying something different and it didn't go well, forget about it. Like this event, how things played out with the extreme differences in the draws from the weather standpoint, flush it away. Don't chalk something up as that doesn't work if you didn't do the well this week, and don't be afraid to go back to the well. I'm sure you've seen the stats out there by now, but there was over a 3-stroke difference from the different draws. It's just crazy.
That's British Open like.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen that different a one in my time playing DraftKings yet. But Mike and I were talking about this before. If we do have an event in the future where we see drastic weather differences being a potential, I don't think for a full event lineup you can go to the extreme of saying, hey, I'm only going to play early AM Thursday guys, late Friday guys, because that looks to be the best weather set. When you're doing that on Wednesday night, it's still going to be too variable. But I think what you can do is maybe differentiate yourself a little bit and say, all right, this set of lineups for maybe a GPP, I won't do this for cash, but for GPP, this set of lineups is going to be AM, PM, day 1, day 2, and this other one's going to be PM, AM, knowing that one of those might get the potential. But I don't think you can go to the extreme of saying, hey, this is the way to go. Yes, this week, if you had Thursday AM, things look a lot better. But, guys like Colin Morikawa, I'm not giving up on him, or Matt Fitzpatrick, because they were in that crappy draw.
Yeah, I mean, Brooks Koepka in that group, they had to play 17 twice on Saturday when the conditions were awful.
Yeah, when a group can't hit 17, a whole PGA, okay, then it's beyond ridiculous.
Yeah. It was really tough, and obviously that made or broke the weekend. Another comment, not on the conditions, but rules issues, did you see the Keegan Bradley controversy? So he ends up, right, he's in contention. But did you see that he had that 2-stroke penalty?
Yeah.
I knew he had the 2-stroke, but I didn't know all the details around it.
So, in brief, long putt. And so I think in order so that he could see his ball when he walked over by where the hole was, he marked it, but he didn't move the ball. He just put the marker down and then walked away. Well, the wind then blew his ball to another part of the green. And because he had never touched his ball was technically in play, and he was supposed to then play it from where the wind blew it to. So he didn't. He went and picked it up and put it back to where his marker was and then played it from there, and he was assessed a 2-stroke penalty for playing his ball from the wrong spot.
This is what we call a stupid rule. And this is why people hate golf.
I couldn't agree with you more.
It's absurd.
It is. If you want to, and I think he said that. He was like, I get it. I understand that's the rule.
Yeah.
I thought we were trying to simplify the game and get some of these, like, technicalities out of this.
He took it like a champ. He was like, I hope everyone else in the locker room sees this and doesn't let it happen to them.
Yeah. But so he did. I saw on Monday that he had marked his ball and did that again where his ball was down and he was going to line up. And I'm like, I didn't notice, but I'm assuming he, like, just picked it up and put it back down.
Yeah, there was, several. You had the controversy on where Berger's ball went.
That was very entertaining.
And then you had Casey's drive on 16 going into the divot on Monday.
Yeah.
And, again, that's just... I get the spirit of the law, but... Come on, a guy's ball is sitting right in a divot like that.
It wasn't just a divot; it was a pitch mark. Like
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You're playing on your weekend round. You're taking that one out, right?
Yeah. My 26 handicap.
Maybe you should try and hit it from in the divot, Kyle. It might be better.
It can't hurt, right?
You said you're good at sand shots.
So, all right. Well, let's cover a couple of results on the Players Championship. Obviously, we had, I think, kind of varying success in our personal lineups, just based on which lineups fell on what side of the draw. One thing that I wanted to comment on was Kyle, you said it to me. You said, at the end of the last week's podcast, how much do I have of my guy, Tommy Tables?
Yeah.
And I said, and I think my quote was, I'm going to own this. This is a big boys tournament. I'm going to sprinkle. And there he was at the top of the round one leaderboard.
So I know Tommy Tables' brother has dabbled in taking in some Reading the Green content in the past. I really hope he didn't listen last week.
You know what? And I think the takeaway is the way that Tom has been playing, he is a big boy out there right now. And
he is.
He has every right to be leading the Players Championship and be in contention. So I'm going to own that. But yeah, that was I wish I would have had a couple more shares. So, Listener League, another good week for the Listener League. We had some new participants, which is great because that pumps up the total prize money a little bit. Rock Chalk MN takes the top spot.
Oh, nothing worse than a Jayhawk fan.
Yeah.
Beating you.
Yeah, right. Derek Howard, our betting expert, follows up his win last week with a second place, and then Jordan, you sniped third place there at the end.
Yeah, and I feel bad. My back is really starting to hurt carrying you guys in this listener contest.
That's a good point.
Can you guys stop bringing up the rear? Did you get last place this week?
No,
I didn't even look that far down.
You know what? I won. I think right when we launched this, I won the first one. And I was like, fish in a barrel, and then it's been all nothing but L's.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you where I finished. I knew it wasn't in contention.
Well, that first one that Mike that he won, there were only 4 people, 3 of them us, and 1 other person.
Okay,
so.
all right.
But I do have something to kind of brag about, I guess, a little bit this week. So I did have a lineup. It was the very last lineup I built on Wednesday night. It was the lineup where I kind of looked back at my sheet on who I had for the week, and it's like I don't have enough of a couple of the guys I really wanted shares of. So I made a $1 GPP lineup with all them in it. That lineup went 6 for 6 making the cut, and apparently would have won the Millie Maker
by like 20 points.
But yeah, and I did not have that lineup in the Millie Maker.
The Millie Maker total, the winning lineup was remarkably low.
any of the other GPP contests I was in would have exceeded the Million Maker winner, which is not unusual because you have, especially in the smaller ones. But I was trying a couple different things, so I dabbled in the 10-cent lineups this week just to try a couple different approaches since it was a little bit bigger payout. And just did not have the right lineup in the right contest.
I did my first 10-cent lineup. I don't know which one of you I copied, but I changed 2 golfers, and I made $2 on my $2 bet. But
I'm glad that you're starting small and you're winning small.
It's fun to see. I want to do like 20, the cascading core, right?
The 20 max.
20 entries, all similar with like one guy switching out throughout. And it's fun. It moves all over the place. Mm-hmm. Like after the first day, I was making $10. After the second day, I was losing everything. Right? It just because the way this is, it's. If your core is playing bad,
you're taking a big swing. It's risk reward.
Yeah,
that's the whole point.
But now it sounds like we have Jordan Hooks, so we look forward to him stepping up that 10-cent, toe in the water this week to a little something bigger. Give it 3 months, folks. By maybe the Tour Championship.
He'll be playing for.
He'll be in the Millie.
20 max Millie. 20 max Millie.
Yeah.
There we go.
A couple other notes as we round out the Players Championship here. Obviously, Cameron Smith was at the top of the performance for the week. From a contributor standpoint, Reed Fowler in his DraftKings preview, he had the trio of Berger, Homa, and K.H. Lee. Again, not guys that were showing up necessarily on the first page, but if you wanted to build a solid core, those would have been 3 really good plays. We're really looking for experts that have great bodies of work in their content that we can lean on top to bottom. So Reed Fowler was right there with us. And, we'll have out, actually, we try to do this once a month. We'll have our March expert rankings update coming out on Twitter on Tuesday night. So, by the time you're listening to this, you should be able to check out on our Twitter feed where our top experts sit in relation to each other. So excited to be able to share some of that. So I think that's probably it for the Players Championship. Before we go to break, Jordan, you were playing bartender tonight. You had got a nice haul from the liquor store a week ago. So highlights, guys. Do you guys like anything specifically that we've been going through?
The one of the better breweries in the Twin Cities that doesn't can, kills me, but they do crowlers and you can get them at a few select liquor stores. I don't even remember what the name of it was.
Barrel Theory as the brewery. Theory, yes. And I think it was like Top of the Moon or...
delicious. Yeah. One of the better beers. Barrel Theory, you can't go wrong.
No.
Anything they make. My coworker today was making fun of me. We met them at the St. Paul Farmers Market, and she was like, yeah, and then he's like, oh, there's this great brewery. I need to pick up beer. I'm like, yeah, if I'm in St. Paul, I'm going to Barrel Theory, and I'm bringing beer home, because it's...
For sure.
Delicious.
It's
a no-brainer.
I have been there. I'm in the proximity. Given where we all live in the Twin Cities, like if I'm in the proximity of St. Paul, I'm going to swing by there.
Yes.
And the Patagonia store for me. But
now you know what Mike wears every night, except for tonight. Tonight,
I look like I came from like, oh yeah.
Tonight he looks like he's a golfer. We all were what are you doing?
Speaking of which, Mike has a hat.
Yeah,
I do have a hat from the Players Championship. I need to give a shout out to my sister-in-law who works for a company that is a title sponsor on the PGA Tour during the season, and so the Players Championship is a big week for title sponsors, and so they treat it like their big annual conference. She brought me back a pretty sweet hat, so thank you very much. I feel like, I look like I just came from the golf course, but no, I sat at home all day and I worked.
Yeah, and you may think the hat says, my sister-in-law went to the Players Championship and all I got was this hat, but it doesn't. It's actually a very nice hat, Mike.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about the Valspar. Welcome back. We have our Valspar Championship Preview. Before we jump into that, remember we have our Listener League. The Reading the Green Listener League is available on DraftKings. If you're interested in playing Golf DFS with us every week and our listeners, please tweet at us, and we will send you the information. And, of course, we'll have the link out to join later in the day on Wednesday. Okay, guys, Valspar Championship. PGA Tour moves up in Florida to Innisbrook in Palm Harbor. You know, a little bit weaker field than we had at the Players Championship, obviously, but this is where Sam Burns got his first win last year. And it's still a good number of names in this event, and so I think it'll be reasonably entertaining. Kyle, some initial thoughts on what we're seeing, and certainly if you wanna kind of take us back to our approach, I think that would help sort of level set in what we do here in Reading the Green.
Yeah, and a little tough at this point. Usually we have a little bit more data on Tuesday night as we're recording, but I think there was a little bit of hangover from the Monday finish. So DraftKings didn't get out the salaries until this morning even. So a lot of the articles we usually have, or a lot of contributors rankings we have at this time, is a lot lower. But overall, we're looking at dozens of known industry experts, contributors who are using their own means to put out who they recommend this week. A lot of those are gonna utilize their custom models that are pulling from different strokes gain databases or their own custom approach and putting out those picks. So there's a lot to weed through there, but our approach is we take those rankings and try to normalize them to an extent and really look at who the industry's on and who's doing well and who you can listen to in a week in, week out basis. So at this point, we have six individuals coming in over 40% mention share, and that's usually a key metric for us. In the past, anyone that's over 40% mention share, and correct me if I get these numbers wrong, Mike, but usually 70+% of those individuals have made the cut since we've been doing our tracking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's even a little lower than that. I think if we look at about like 25% or higher is where we see about 70% of the players make the cut.
Which, if you're building out a lineup, that's a great place to start.
Yeah, so we're basically saying that anywhere from a quarter to a third of the expert community is on a player. There's a 70% chance that player is going to make the cut. And I think, again, if you're playing cash lineups, if you're playing cash contests, that's all you're really looking for. Certainly, finding differentiation in ownership breaks and in tournament lineups is a little bit different strategy. But yes, our expert community is, when we see those high consensus plays, they're usually very safe.
So this week for the Valspar, we have some interesting names. We have Matt Fitzpatrick at the top of the list, who burned a lot of people last week, us in this room included, but was in that tough grouping, so we're willing to dismiss. At this point, he has a lot of love, 62% mention share. Followed up by Russell Knox, who had a great week last week. Justin Thomas, who a little bit up and down, but played really well in some tough conditions. And then we get into a value play. And I've seen this name out there for some of the, I would call him the fantasy DFS darling of the weekend, possibly. I've seen some tweets about some top 20 and top 40 bets for him. But Von Taylor coming in at only $6,700. Lineup saver right there from a price point perspective. And he's at 46% mention share at this point. And then the next two at right around that 40% standpoint are Victor Hovland and Shane Lowery. We are still waiting on a good chunk of our contributors, so stand by tomorrow to get the updated mention share and mention power index. But based on what we have so far, guys, what are your thoughts?
I'm throwing the sheet out this week. You know what, I made a mistake not going Dustin Johnson last week, because it was 2 weekends ago, right? It was Paulina's bachelorette party, and she must have come home still wanting to marry him, so now he's going to golf good. I think he was really worried about her bachelorette party.
He was there, right? I think they had like bachelorette party.
That's how worried he was. He wouldn't even let her go off on her own. He thought she was gonna run off and never come back.
Well, that was the genesis of that amazing backdoor top 10 on Sunday or Monday from
he's now
BJ.
loose. He can play. He's like, wow, she actually likes me and wants to marry me. She's not marrying him for his long drives.
We didn't comment this during the Players Championship recap, but that was like the quintessential like top player in the world backdoor top 10. Like he shoots 63 when he's going off. He finishes on the front side.
Finishes with an eagle, right?
Right, chips in for eagle. Nobody's watching him all day, and he shoots 9 under. And
I had no idea until you sent a group chat, and I know
he's back. He's also the model. He's got some support in there. There's obviously not a lot of contributors in yet.
His salary's down a little bit this week at 10-2. Like, Dustin Johnson, the top player in the world, he's only going to be the 5th expensive player.
I think he's back. I think the bachelorette party worried him a lot over the last 2 or 3 months.
All right.
Well, I will tell you from my place perspective, I'm going back to Fitzy, back on Matt Fitzpatrick, and I'm not scared from last week there. And I'm going to be on Von Taylor a bit.
At the top of our, and I think that's the top of our model is 6 guys that have been playing pretty good golf lately, and then a guy that's a value play. And so it seems like right now, Fitzpatrick, Knox, Thomas, Hovland, Lowery, Oosthuizen, those 6 guys. I mean, you're playing with good form there. So,
why'd you end it where you did? You missed Kyle's favorite play this week.
I can't say that name.
There has been some steam picking up around daily fantasy golf breakups, and I've gotten this feedback from other friends and listeners of the pod about who guys they want to break up with, and I know Kyle, we're not even going to talk about that name.
It wouldn't be wise to do that.
Yeah, right. We're not even going to talk about it, but I did get a text from a friend, a player in the listener league, that says he wants to break up with Matt Fitzpatrick, and he said that during this past tournament. And so here we are, early on in sort of where our model's at, saying Matt Fitzpatrick is the guy we want to go back to. So you break up with someone, you don't get to. What's the time? I mean, how long do you have to be broken up for? It's at least a month.
Depends how many beers are involved.
Okay, well, you and
I've got Mr. Wise in my lineup this week.
Well, we will be the wise police with Kyle over here and make sure that we don't see any lineups here with him in there, even if he's going to continue to pop into the top 10 players in our model.
I really hope I can rub it in Kyle's face next week.
Well, I don't know. I know we're a little light on Valspar content this episode, but I think, like you said, Kyle, that's just the content delays here, and some of the inputs that we have are just coming in late by the time we record, and that's fine. We'll be there on Wednesday evening with our top plays and where we sit with our metrics. Anything else on the Valspar?
I will have to say, I read one of our contributors' write-ups. And, the hard part of this course, and it is a hard course, is called the Snake Pit. And as part of the write-up, they went out of their way to mention that with PGA golfers, this course is actually notorious for snake sightings on the course, which is fairly unique for a PGA Tour course. So I don't think this is a course I ever want to personally go play. Anyone knows me, I do not like snakes.
If you ever want to mess with Kyle, talk about snakes. Sometime when we're out golfing, we need to do the clip on the back of his shirt. He literally has said he will.
You'll get a driver to the head.
Yes, he will hit me if I ever mess with him with snakes, which means that we definitely need to.
You're chancing your life there.
Next time I'm at your house, I'm gonna put a snake in your pillow.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. We're excited to see where the rest of the expert community comes on the Valspar Championship, And it's nice. You get a Monday finish. You jump right back into golf on Thursday. It's one thing after another. This is a fun time of year. So last call for the Listener League. If you are listening to this before the tournament starts on Thursday morning and you want to join, find us on Twitter or go seek out that link that we tweet out to join our Listener League contest. We will be back in a week to cover the results from the Valspar Championship and preview a very fun DFS event, the Match Play at Austin Country Club. See ya.